Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs?
What's up? You look pretty happy.
I'm elated. I love making the fantasy playoffs. It's what I do after that usually tends to be the issue.
That's fair. I think overall, last week I lost most of my leagues. This week I won most of my leagues. But I think I might have lost the home league depending on what happens Monday night. So is it even worth it if I go like 6-2 in my leagues, but one of the two is the home league?
Yeah, I don't understand how you keep losing this league.
I had a good week too. I'm going to get like 130 points. Not bad.
I think it's funny. Earlier in the season, Rick and I made a trade. Mine is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always, by the way. Rick and I made a trade. Lamar for Godwin, Derek Carr. I give you somebody else, right?
No, it was just Lamar.
Oh, Lamar for Chris Godwin, Derek Carr, and
Tony Pollard,
and more.
Fleece me on that one.
Tony Pollard, yeah. And I think that was a luxury decision for you.
It was because my team was freaking stacked.
Yeah, you were in a good spot.
I had Breece Hall then.
I was not. I was not in a good spot. And so you were ready to go.
This was a championship trade.
Yeah, you were ready. You're gonna make a run.
I made that way too early.
And then Breece got hurt.
Should have kept the depth. Yeah. In week 4, I'm making championship deals.
As soon as that happens, Breece gets hurt, and then Jamar Chase gets hurt, and the team just collapses.
Yep. And then Lamar too, who you had him for one of the 15, 20-point weeks or whatever, but he had 2 40-point weeks in the first 4 weeks of the season. So it was like, okay, this guy's going to be a top. I making that deal. I'm getting a top 3 fantasy quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth giving up all of my depth. And then since that point, Lamar has been mid. So,
well, anyway, I made the fantasy playoffs. Thanks, Rick, for helping out.
You're welcome. You gonna give me a ring if you win?
I will give you a diamond from
for Godwin and Pollard.
Yeah, Godwin and Pollard. But anyway, hopefully you had a successful week in fantasy football, and you are headed to the fantasy playoffs, maybe this early. But we still got 2 weeks to grind, 2 weeks to go. Today we're going to talk about waiver wires. Today we're going to talk about a recap from this week, Thanksgiving and all, and discuss some of the best players from the week and some of the worst. There's still one more game to go, as a reminder. But before we jump into all that, check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review. Share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below. Total side note, this is just for me and Rick here having a conversation. There's a specific radio show in this New England area that we listen to. I don't know, maybe it's nationally known, but anyway, currently they have a question. Would the Patriots have won against the Vikings if they had Brady? This is what we're talking about.
That's the most
This is what we're talking about 4:00 on Monday afternoon.
Oh my gosh, that is the most Felgren master.
Tom Brady. I don't know what I would answer this question, but Mac Jones threw 382 yards and basically 3.
Are they trying to make it a positive thing for Mac?
I don't know. I have him mute, so I'm just reading the.
Yeah, that's the most sports talk radio though.
So funny.
Ever.
Anyway, love sports talk radio, the best.
It is pretty.
But let's talk about week. What the hell week is it? 12.
I believe it is week 12.
Let's talk about some of these quarterbacks here. Josh Allen, 30 points. Hasn't looked good in real life. He makes some good throws, but he's been kind of mid lately. Not in fantasy, though. Josh Allen is still
not in fantasy.
Jalen Hurts with 29, so he's been great. Sorry, Rick, if that hurt your soul a little bit. Played Jalen Hurts last night. Herbert, Kyler Murray. So top 4 are guys that should be up there. Kyler has been terrible this year.
He has and hasn't because
from where you drafted him, yeah.
He's been terrible in, I think, the sense of the expectations for him, and I feel like he hasn't played great in real life, but at the same time, his stats aren't bad, and his fantasy numbers are pretty good too. He's the QB8, and he missed 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird year, but yeah.
And I think D-Hop also had an effect in that, not having him.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence with 24.9. Big boy shorts.
Love it.
Winning football games. I don't even know who he was playing, but he freaking crushed them.
The Ravens, dude.
Ravens, that's right. That's a marquee win.
It was a big time win, yeah. Dude, the announcer said, "This will be a win. Jacksonville remembers for years to come." And it's like, bro, you're like 3-7.
Rick.
You're 4-7 now.
I don't want to crush your hopes and dreams, but or your take there, but Jacksonville really doesn't have anything to remember.
No, they don't. Oh yeah, I guess that's true. So maybe they will remember.
Maybe they will remember this one.
I do think that, side note, not fantasy related, the Jaguars are going to be an explosive team next year. I think they'll probably be a good team. They might make the playoffs, but we'll see.
But he had 24 fantasy points. Lawrence a good little fantasy quarterback if he's getting yardage and touchdowns. The only drawback is that he doesn't rush at all. Coming out of college,
not as much as he did in college.
Yeah, I was going to say in college he rushed all over the place. Don't know why he doesn't have that as a part of his game now. But you had Mike White with 24. That's never happening again.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy one.
I was actually kind of mad because I was like, you know how when like I started Derek Carr this week in the home league, and like obviously Derek Carr had 25, so we're good. Or in the 5-point touchdown variety, Derek Carr in real life had 22, in 4-point touchdown leagues. But anyway, so I was fine. But midway through that game, when Derek Carr wasn't looking too hot, I was like, man, I wish I just picked up Mike White and started him. Like, you get that thought in your head, like, I was never going to pick up Mike White and start him.
I was going to say, did you even think about doing that?
No, I didn't even think about doing it. But then I'm sitting there going, I wish I picked him up, and like, I got to find wherever Doc Brown lives, jump in that DeLorean and go get myself.
I don't know if you necessarily need to do that because you won this week. Maybe I could have done that in other positions.
That's true.
Like thinking Jamar Chase was going to start all week.
Because I needed those 2 extra points.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mike White, that's never happened again. Mac Jones throwing dimes all over the field, slicing up the Vikings defense, ends up as QB7 with 23.28 fantasy points per game. This will not happen again for Mac. Well,
I'm mad because I was going to rank him higher, but I like panicked rushed my rankings on Thursday because it was like 10 minutes before
That's why you
Thanksgiving.
Should do that.
And I didn't move Mac Jones at all, and then he had a great.
And then he QB7.
I was going to move him up.
I actually think there's opportunities for Mac to, because this actually probably should have been a little bit better of a week. He probably should have been top 4, but they took a touchdown away from him. So I think there'll be weeks where he can get 20 if the offense is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think he could get 20. Like Arizona, maybe. Could get 20 that week. Could be a stream option against Arizona or Vegas.
Ooh, hey, listen. Is that week 14?
That is week 14 and 15.
I might start Mac Jones over Derek Carr.
This the
last week of the regular season. Fields is on a bye.
Yeah. But do it. But then drop him so I can pick him up if I make the playoffs week 15. And then I'll start him in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, there we go.
Versus over Trevor Lawrence.
Lamar has a good week, 23 points. Kirk Cousins also has a good week with 22.86. That's right around where he should finish. Derek Carr also, the last 4 weeks, I think, he's been right around QB 10, 11, or 12. So that's good news for Derek Carr peeps.
You never know when he's going to get you 3 fantasy points, though.
Geno continues to Geno with his 20.
I mean, at this point, it's not even like this is just what he does.
Yeah, week to week basis. He's
QB7 on the year.
He is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
fantasy wise. Mahomes had
it's actually better
19. Some guys that didn't do too hot at the quarterback position. Also, you see Sammy Dimes.
Darnold. Bro. Did you see his touchdown pass?
I did.
That was a
DJ Moore is
dot,
alive.
bro.
We told you to bench DJ Moore and start Curtis Samuel. I apologize.
If it makes you feel better, that might have lost me my week.
Nice.
Because I started Curtis Samuel.
See, we live by our advice. We live and die by our advice, just so you know.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any busts besides Aaron Rodgers, but he kind of finishes with this.
Do you count Russell Wilson?
No.
I mean, I think I asked you this last week when he got 10 points.
This is what he does. This is 10 points a game. This is what Russell Wilson does.
Literally the worst starting quarterback in fantasy this week, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Skylar Thompson had negative 0.26 fantasy points, so the only one guy worse. But yeah, I think for Rodgers, like 12 to 15 is around where he's going to finish rest of season.
At what point did he leave the game? Was it third quarter or fourth?
It was in midway through the third quarter, or late third quarter, probably, to be more accurate.
So you're saying he might have had a chance to crack 20?
No, he probably would have cracked 15. Well, if he threw that touchdown to Christian Watson, it would have been a lot more than that. It probably would have been 17 or 18.
Right. But that is kind of what he's been in 4-point touchdown.
He'll be right around 15 fantasy points a game. But he had an oblique injury, and he's also been dealing with a hand problem. And the Green Bay Packers lost, moving them to 4-8 on the year, essentially eliminating them from the playoffs.
Yep.
Not statistically, but pretty much at this point.
Who would have guessed that the Packers would be 4-8 at this point in the year?
Ridiculous. But there were thoughts that Aaron Rodgers, that he would be shut down. They would move to Jordan Love, and that this would be his last game as a Packer, where they would either trade him or he would just outright retire. I have a feeling he's going to retire, but so that could have been his last game as a Packer. Interestingly enough. But anyway, let's talk about some running backs. So in PPR leagues, the number one running back, obviously, congratulations if you needed a win and you had Josh Jacobs. I feel bad for you if you were facing Josh Jacobs with his 48 fantasy points. He had 303 scrimmage yards.
Yep. He's the RB2 on the season.
No.
That kind of aggravates me because I wanted to draft him, and one of the reasons I didn't was because in my head I'm like, I don't think he has a huge ceiling. And I think I said this before. I was like, I don't think he's got a huge ceiling.
Do you want to?
He'll be good, but
yeah. Do you want to hear some malpractice though? Some NFL management malpractice.
Let me hear it.
This is a football team, the Las Vegas Raiders, that rejected his 5th-year option.
Mm-hmm.
Just want him a game to keep him in the playoffs.
Are you saying that players play better when they're in a contract year?
I'm saying that the freaking Raiders blew it.
It's that they blew it, yeah.
They blew it. But no, he's been great. I think when Josh Jacobs is healthy and he gets the ball, he's great. Health has been a problem, and then when he's on the field, I feel it. I don't know what it is with coaches and not liking Josh Jacobs and feeling the need to get other guys involved. I just don't get it.
You know what I think I underestimated is I liked Jacobs for like with McDaniels. I liked Jacobs being in that system.
Mm-hmm.
But what I underestimated, and I knew that Jacobs or McDaniels likes to use multiple running backs, so that kind of scared me. What I underestimated is how much they use the running back position. The offense runs through the running. It doesn't run through Devontae Adams. It runs through the running backs. Yeah. And because of that, it runs through Josh Jacobs.
At this point, I feel like every offense in the NFL starts with a good play action game.
Yeah, unless you're the Chiefs or the Bills.
Right. But yeah, he's been...
Or the Chargers.
He's been ridiculous, Josh Jacobs. So, congratulations.
For sure.
If you have him, and he looks like he has a good stretch down the end of the season, so congratulations. Yeah. I thought about this the other day. Literally plopped into my mind for 5 seconds, and then it left quickly because I was like, I can't be doing things like that. I was going to offer Saquon Barkley straight up for Josh Jacobs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It entered my mind.
If you did it this week.
You know what's funny, too? Quick side note, because we got to get through all these running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and then give you some waiver wire guys and get out of here. But the person that has Josh Jacobs in our league, because you would assume, if you drafted Josh Jacobs, you probably got a shot at like a top tier player in the first round, and that guy should be playing well. The dude that had him somehow only has Josh Jacobs as their number one running back.
He had Dalvin Cook.
Because he had Dalvin Cook, and he traded Dalvin Cook for Stefon Diggs, which is not a bad trade. I will say that. But he also traded Michael Pittman in the process. So now he just has the same position that he was before. Yeah.
Right.
Lateral moves. I just don't know how you have Josh Jacobs and then you don't have another top tier running back to. Just in my head. But anyway. Miles Sanders had 31. My guy made some trades. Got myself Miles Sanders. I don't even remember what the trade was, to be honest with you, but I'm very happy.
That was a great trade, bro. You traded Sutton and Foreman.
Oh.
Foreman had 11 points.
Yeah, Foreman's been all right.
Yeah, he'll get 4 and then 11 and then 2.
What'd Sutton have?
Sutton had 13.
All right, so I outscored him.
You did outscore him.
Nice. Miles Sanders, 31, RB2 on the week.
I just traded for Miles Sanders, 2 in a dynasty league. My highest stake dynasty league. Traded for him before this week.
Philly, all they do is run the ball. So that's the main reason why I wanted to get Sanders. Like, I've been trying to get him all season. And like with the way the Eagles are playing and how much running they do, it's easy money to get Miles Sanders.
Since his rookie year, we've liked Miles Sanders, and he's disappointed us. And then this year, top 14 running back.
Mm-hmm. I traded for a top 14 running back.
He's RB13 right now. I mean, it's a little inflated because he just got 31. So I don't know if he's going to finish top 13. But I would say he's an RB2.
Yeah, solid. Kind of like Damian Harris last year.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler was number 3 with 25. James Conner had 21, so 2 good weeks in a row for James Conner.
Played James Conner.
Yeah, you play James Conner now. If you have him,
I played him in 3 leagues.
It's time to rile it up. Big hat man, Brian Robinson. 20 fantasy points. If you need a big hat, go hit up Brian Robinson. He'll tell you where to get it.
Big hat Brian.
I like it. That's his new name now. That was funny. I'm like, what are you doing?
That was pretty funny.
Like, what is he doing?
You look like Spaceballs.
Yeah, seriously. He had 20 fantasy points. Really good week for Brian Robinson. If you have been holding and hoping for Brian Robinson to be good, this is his best week.
Okay, but what happens if you, like me, for example, in a dynasty league, have both Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson? Who are you starting?
Gibson. I would start Gibson because Gibson probably has more touchdown upside and more pass
catching.
Yeah, pass catching. And PPR leagues. If you're in a standard league, Brian Robinson is probably a safer bet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's standard for sure.
Yeah, I did. Gibson's dead in standard leagues. It's so funny how different standard, like half PPR and PPR close. Like very close together.
Yeah.
But then when you drop off and you just take points per reception away altogether, it eliminates a lot of running backs.
It does. It just eliminates a lot of the game in general.
Yeah.
So guys will get like 5 catches, and in a half PPR that doesn't matter as much, but in standard it means nothing.
Right. Jermichael Hasty had 20 fantasy points. He was the RB6 on the week.
Does that make you sad? Because that would have been ETN probably.
Yeah, that would have been ETN. Yeah. But he got a foot injury, and they played it safe. And they almost played it safe so much so that they lost the game, but congratulations.
Travis saved them.
I hope this is not like I was watching the game and Hasty was doing good, and I was like, this is what Travis Etienne should have been doing. But do they now give Jermichael Hasty more work because he had a good game?
I don't think so, because they also signed
Darrell Henderson. Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, then none of this affects Travis Etienne's production. I do think that they are realizing the same thing that I was saying weeks ago, is that you're going to bury Travis Etienne into the ground if you keep running it with him this much.
Oh, yeah. No, they can't give him like 25 carries a game.
You have to, he can have 20 touches, but you need
to give him 15 carries and 5 catches.
Yeah, it's good enough. Nick Chubb, 20. Ramondre Stevenson had 20, so he's back up in the top 10 again. Rashad White, 19. I think Rashad White's going to be a running back league winner here down the stretch if playoff Lenny stays on the bench for any.
He had 19 with no touchdowns.
Wild.
9 catches.
Brady loves his running backs.
That's what I love about White the most.
Especially when they're named White.
Yeah, true. It's not that I think White is like a great running back. It's the fact that he's a good pass-catching running back, and Brady will dump it off to him.
Lenny is too, but he's just old now.
Right, so. Lenny is too, but Lenny's just kind of fat and old now, a little bit.
You know what's sad about that? I think he's younger than me.
Well, you would be an old man running back if you played in the NFL.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Running back. Samaje Perine, we told you to start him this week, right?
No, he said bench.
Did we say sit?
Yeah,
God, this is a tough week for us.
We had a really bad start. Yeah,
to be fair, Rick had nothing to do with that.
Thank you for that.
Aaron Jones had 18. AJ Dillon had 17. He scored a pair of touchdowns, I believe.
Yeah, AJ Dillon had his best game of the season.
I know. Finally got into the end zone since week 1. So I don't know if that's going to change anything.
I think he's probably still not worth picking up, though, to be honest. Only had 8 carries.
Some guys that busted at the running back position. You could Dalvin Cook with 9 points. I like 9 or 10 is usually the line for me where it's
made me cry.
Right, it's like it was bad, but it wasn't like that bad. When you start getting 8 points, that's where I'm starting to be like, what the frig, guys? Christian McCaffrey had 8.9 points, so he's been getting. Here's the big thing.
I believe McCaffrey had a leg injury.
He did have a leg injury, so they limited him. But I watched the early part of that game, and it's clear that they want to get other guys involved in this patch. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell. There was some guy with dreadlocks, Jordan Mason.
I think he only came in because I think Mitchell got hurt too.
But they want to split between these guys and keep Christian McCaffrey for the most part healthy for the postseason. With that being said, it affects your fantasy lineups dramatically because the anticipation for McCaffrey truthers like Rick himself was that he was going to be getting everything and no.
I never said he was going to get everything.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I just mean like you thought he was going to be ridiculous.
I thought he was going to be a beast, yeah.
And he's been essentially what he was with Carolina. So, unfortunately, the trade was really just lateral for fantasy, for the most part. But this week, he was bad because of the injury, so it wasn't like he probably would have scored a touchdown, done other things. Antonio Gibson had 8. Tony Pollard had 8. Pollard without touchdowns is tough. You got to swallow the no touchdown games.
Do you think this is kind of just what he is with Zeke?
Yeah. Yep. I believe that.
He can still get a touchdown.
I believe that when you traded him to me.
Yeah.
And I still like him, and I still think he's a top 24 running back. But the issue with Tony Pollard is that if Zeke's out there, they're going to give the ball to Zeke, and it's going to damage Tony Pollard. And that. There's going to be weeks where Pollard does break off a touchdown run and make things happen, but at this point, it's challenging for Tony Pollard to produce without touchdowns. But 8 points is still good if you're talking about a secondary flex.
Yeah, I think he's still okay.
Alvin Kamara had 7.
That kind of worried me. Now, what I will say about Kamara,
he's so
if you're in a good spot. Like your team, if you're I think he's a good buy. If your team already clinched the playoffs, he's a good buy.
Okay, why?
Because he has sucked.
Okay.
And he has Tampa this week, and he's got a bye week. But his playoff schedule is all dark green. Atlanta, Cleveland, and what is it?
I said,
yeah, Atlanta, Cleveland, and then Philly, who has been really good, but their run defense has been kind of average. To below average. So it's a green matchup. So he's got green, could be good in the fantasy playoffs, but he's been kind of disappointing.
What are you saying?
Not saying anything.
I should go make a move?
I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying in theory, he's not a bad buy right now.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to go try to make a trade now. Daniel Pierce had 4. Sorry, Rick.
No, I traded him, bro.
For the pain. Oh, well, I mean, there's still pain.
I mean, yeah. I remember what I told you last week. I said I'm getting real nervous about him.
Mm-hmm.
So I traded him for Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen got 16 fantasy points. Damian Pierce got 4.
There you go. Smart move.
I think he's just kind of. It's not even all his fault. He hasn't been good, but The Texans are just like. Did
They're
you
a
watch that
disaster.
game?
Yeah, they're horrible. They're horrible.
They are the worst team in the NFL by far.
Well, now they are because they took Davis Mills out.
Yeah, I mean their offense, even with Davis Mills, wasn't good.
No, but they had a better shot of winning a football game. All their games were relatively, not all of them, but most of them were close for the most part.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kareem Hunt, 3 points. He's been disappointing.
Yeah, he's been bad.
A lot of games this year. So I think this is his last year in Cleveland, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and he's kind of getting old too, though.
Yeah.
He's 27. I don't know like how much he has.
He wasted the Cleveland gave him a shot. Basically, the only team that would give anyone a
He
shot.
He should have signed, played 1 year with Cleveland, and then
left. I don't know why he resigned.
Yeah,
like you could have been. I mean, freaking Kansas City might have taken you back at this rate.
Oh yeah,
they're starting Pacheco. And then the other guy I wanted to mention was ETN, who did fall prey to an injury, and Damian Harris had 1.6, but he got hurt too.
He got hurt too, right? Yeah.
So those are the running backs. Let's talk about some wide receivers. Justin Jefferson, oh my goodness,
who I also played this week. It was a trend.
Monster, bro. He is a monster. And if you acquired Justin Jefferson in the offseason, congratulations in your dynasty leagues because
I traded him away in 1 week.
Oh, bro.
But
no buts.
I got 3 first-round picks. I got
you better hold.
Which at the time I got T.J. Hawkinson, I got Jerry Jeudy, and Darnell Mooney. Which Mooney and Jeudy have disappointed because that trade looked a lot better when those guys had potential. But
yeah, you're
still.
Bad play.
I know,
but Chris Godwin had 29.
Yeah,
15 targets, I think.
Wish he was still on my team.
Oh my god. Keep going, Brady. You know what I found funny? Watching Tampa's offense when they tried to throw it to somebody not named Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
The drive would stall. If you tried to throw it to Mike Evans, it was a high point pass.
Mike Evans had a really bad game.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a week in here, though, where they reverse. But even when Godwin is like the second fiddle, he still gets double-digit fantasy points.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's been really good on the season. He did miss some time earlier in the season, but since he came back, I wanted to check this out. Hold on. Since he came back from his injury, he's actually been pretty good.
He's been very, very good.
He missed. He played week 1, but
and you were like, "Oh, dude, the rest of the season rankings, he's like wide receiver 33, man. He's not gonna."
Well, that was.
I don't know.
That was what.
And I was like, I think he's top 15, and you were like, "No, dude, look at the rest of the season rankings."
Chris Godwin is wide receiver 7 since week 4.
Yeah,
you're right. Funny thing is I don't blow pipe up people's smoke. I don't blow smoke up people's. Or in people's pipes. Is that what? I don't even know. I don't give people crap in trades. Like, I tell them what I actually feel. And at the time, that's what I actually felt, Rick. I've just benefited greatly from having Chris Godwin be elite.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra had 27. He was great. Zay Jones had 27. That's not going to happen again. Garrett Wilson had 26. He was back with Mike White.
I love Garrett Wilson.
T. Higgins had 24. Isaiah McKenzie at 22. I don't remember saying you could start Isaiah McKenzie in the game.
Yeah, he did.
On the
Thursday
did say that.
Show.
I did say that.
I put him in a DFS lineup and won $7 because of that. So thanks.
Stefan Diggs had 21 points. Adam Thielen had 21. Christian Watson had 21 again. Catches a touchdown late. Saved his fantasy day because he legitimately had like 5 points.
It may not end.
Yeah, the touchdown straight. When the touchdowns end, people are gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
That's what I told people. But there's people that have him in our league, especially that they think he's Jerry Rice. So
DJ Moore, 20 points. DeAndre Carter, who's been having a good stretch of games in the absence of Mike Williams, 20 fantasy points for him, and then Metcalf also had 20. That rounds out like the top 12. Let's talk about some bust out wide receivers. Devonta Smith had 9. Jacoby Myers had 9. Terry McLaurin had 9. Yeah, those are the only guys with 9.
Curtis Samuel, our start at wide receiver, lost me my week. Did not have a target.
Debo got hurt, came back. He had 7. I think he's fine. Juju was limited, 6 points. He's most likely going to be fine as well. Mike Evans had 5, like Rick said. I think this is one of his worst games of the season.
Yeah, it is. He still had 9 targets though, so I wouldn't really worry about that. You know who I am a little worried about though is ever since Christian Watson's emergence, Alan Lazard has sucked.
Yeah, he's dropped into a
last 3 games when Christian Watson has broken out.
Maybe that's because Alan Lazard sucks. I don't know why I bought that smoke. I don't. I'm mad at myself
because he was the wide receiver 1 on the team.
Yeah,
and he was doing good in the beginning. But the moment someone with more talent emerged, he's become second fiddle.
Yep. So Alan Lazard kind of blows. I'm with you, Rick. I'm concerned about that. Anyone else at the wide receiver position that you see besides Chris
Juju was limited, so he had 7 points, but
yeah, I mentioned him a second ago.
I was moving so Christian fast. Kirk, I don't know if you said him.
No, I did not.
He had 8 points, so nothing that great, but that's kind of what he's been doing. 20, he'll get 20 and then 8. Drake London, can we stop with him? Are we done?
Yeah. You know what that is? It's Atlanta.
Yeah, it is Atlanta. I think he has. I mean, obviously he was the 9th overall pick, so he's got real talent as a wide receiver. And next year we can revisit him, but this year with all the people who were drafting him, I think was kind of.
I just had a thought. Okay. Rick and I were in an in-depth conversation about who the Patriots could trade for a wide receiver.
Are you gonna say Drake London?
No, Chris Godwin.
Oh,
that's good.
See, I like that, but he's also
he's 26.
He has 2 ACL injuries in his career already.
That's all right. 26 is fine.
Okay.
Let's talk about some tight ends. Dalton Schultz had 19. There you go, buddy. Feed Rick more 19-point games.
He was on my bench.
That's great.
Just a tough.
Rando's Josh Oliver was 17. Mark Andrews people throw up in their mouth slightly.
Mark Andrews had a drop touchdown. In that same trade that I got Miles Sanders in that high stakes dynasty league, I also traded for Mark Andrews.
Oh,
so not a great debut for him, but whatever.
Not great.
On my team.
Travis Kelce had 15. TJ Hawkinson had 15. Hunter Henry had 15. The revival of Hunter Henry. Jordan Atkins had 15. David Njoku had 13. Foster Moreau had 12. Hayden Hurst had 11. John Bates. Who are you? And Mark Andrews had 11. What about busts here? Robert Tonyan had 5. Cole Kmet had 5. So Kmet's come down to earth.
Can I give you one?
Go ahead.
I finally, after all season, hating on Juwan Johnson, finally rank him up in my rankings and go, okay, I have to move this guy up. He's been doing good.
Craps himself.
0 points, 2 targets, 0 points, 0 catches.
Oh, sucks for you. Taysom Hill had 3.
You know who else had 0 points and played? Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbeast.
After his great start to the year.
Bryce Perkins blows.
Yeah, he does.
He was doing all right. He was doing all right there for a good stretch of the fourth quarter. Not in the game. He got to the third quarter and they started using him in the passing game a little bit more, and it got better. And then I think Sean McVay was like, all right, we need to open up the floodgates, try to win this game. As soon as they did that, pick.
People picked up Trey McBride because of the Zach Ertz injury. He had 1 catch for 1 yard.
Yeah, he sucks.
I kind of don't like that because I have him in Dynasty.
He's a rookie.
I would like to see him at least flashes, though. Okay, I like a couple flashes. Evan Ingram had 1 point, so he sucked. I do hope Freiermuth, though, who is playing on Monday Night Football, is actually on the top of this list, and I win this week because I kind of need to. But
all right, let's talk about some waiver wire ads.
Yeah. All right, let's do that.
All right, give me a streaming target this week.
Oh gosh, dude, it's kind of gross. Let me look. You gotta have. Let me look first before I give you an answer. Right. Okay, I got one.
All right, here we go.
I don't know how. Well, this is tough because we're recording this on Monday, so we're recording this before Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. But Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett a lot.
He had 19 fantasy. Well, in a 5-point touchdown league, so I don't know how many. Actually, he didn't have a passing touchdown. So 19 fantasy points against the Saints. Mm-hmm. And then I think 16 fantasy points against the Bengals is not bad.
Yeah.
And then in week 13, this week, he's playing the Atlanta Falcons, who have given up a lot of points to quarterbacks. So I think you could plug him in and stream him, and he'll get you like 18 points.
I blanked
which
out.
this
Who
year
did
has
you say?
been Kenny Pickett.
Oh yeah, Kenny Pickett. I literally
against the Falcons.
Yeah, that's a good one. Not bad.
Unless he tears his ACL on Monday Night Football.
I'm gonna say he's. See, I can't say that. It's not.
Who are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Mariota, but he's probably owned, right?
He could. No, Mariota's not a bad one against the Steelers.
No, I think he's going up against Washington. Oh, this is week 13.
Well,
right?
Pickett's playing the Falcons, so
this is week 13, correct?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm looking at the wrong week. Forgive me, fam. Daniel Jones versus Washington.
Oh,
I like that.
That's a good one. Although the Washington's defense has been pretty good last couple weeks.
What are they on the season? They've given up.
On the season, it's been bad.
Yeah, not a lot.
But the last couple of weeks, they're running like a 4-game win streak.
I'd still do Danny Dimes.
I would still do Danny Dimes. Well, he has no receivers though.
It's all right. He doesn't need receivers.
What did he get this week against?
He's not getting fantasy points through the air.
No, that's true. You want to rush a touchdown if you're starting him.
Yeah. I would go with Danny Dimes. Who's Mike White playing this week?
Vikings, actually. So
ooh, that might be an interesting play.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Honestly, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, so Mariota would be a guy that I would stream this week. Mike White's not bad. Kenny Pickett's not bad either. And then my offhanded mention of, I don't even remember. I said it 5 seconds ago. I probably should write this stuff down. Danny Jones against Washington.
Okay, rank them.
For
streams.
You want me?
You have 5 seconds.
Oh God, my brain's turned off. Mariota 1, Daniel Jones 2, Mike White 3.
Pickett 4.
Pickett probably be like 2. I wasn't including Pickett because that was your
okay.
But Pickett would be like 3 probably.
Okay.
Mike White would move down to 4.
I'd probably do Mariota 1 as well. That's a good one. I think I'd put Pickett 2. I'm scared of Daniel Jones and his receivers, so I'm going to say Mike White 3, Daniel Jones 4.
Whoa!
I'm just scared. I'm scared of Danny Dimes, bro. I like him, but like, dude is throwing to Walmart employees.
He's throwing to Walmart employees.
I would still stream him. He's just last on my list. But if I had to, I'd still play him.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about some running backs that you can pick up. Interesting situations here. I don't like any of the Jacksonville running backs for picking up. I know JaMychal Hasty had 20 points and Darrell Henderson's coming in. I don't know what Darrell Henderson's going to do, and JaMychal Hasty only came in because of Travis Etienne's injury. So I don't like either of these guys. I don't.
No, this list blows.
This reminds me of Doug Peterson's Miles Sanders backfield. Didn't like that all that much. That was kind of gross. But Kyren Williams is a really interesting pickup, and I was talking about him.
I dropped him.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really have. It was either him or like Michael Gallup. So
yeah, it's not. But I mean, these options at this point in the season are not sexy, and they don't look good, and they're not going to be like good options. And so I would say even. Like at this point, like Chuba Hubbard, I think should be rostered in case of emergency. And if like Donta Foreman, who has been in the past injury prone, gets hurt, Hubbard would take over the backfield full time. And that I think would mean good things for Chuba Hubbard, and he can at least give you some flexible plays late in the season.
If you're relying though on Foreman, I feel like you're kind of screwed.
Oh yeah, that's Alexander Madison for Dalvin Cook, James Cook for. Devin Singletary, who I actually think James Cook could be really good if Devin Singletary ends up being the guy. But
I agree with you. Although I don't know, did they use Naheem Hines this week? I think they did a little bit.
Naheem Hines is a waste of space to me. But anyway, Kyren Williams is interesting because the Rams cut Darrell Henderson, and they're still not giving Cam Akers the ball. And
Kyren did a little bit.
They did a little bit, but Kyren Williams had 11 carries and 3 catches in the game, so 14 touches. I think they like this kid for whatever reason, and I think they want to get him the ball, and he does have a really good end-of-season schedule. So I would add whatever waiver budget you have left. I think this is, to me, the running back out of the week, and you should probably try to go out and snag him. because at this point, I don't know that the Rams are going to play Cam Akers and or at least all that much. And I think Kyren Williams can be a really good player down the stretch if he continues to get the opportunity and shows efficiency. But 3.1 yards a carry against Kansas City is abysmal. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But 70% snap percentage, I'll take that. And
he's the pass catching back.
And he's the pass catching back, so I'll take that too. And he's got Seattle, Las Vegas, Green Bay, Los Angeles, and Denver down the stretch. So lots of easy games there. I would get Kyren Williams on my team.
Yeah, he's probably
after a long monologue talking about all the running backs. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
No, that's okay because I don't want to talk about any of them. Out of everybody on this list, I think he's the guy to get. Kyren Williams is probably the best available running back. At this point, though, I think there's really nobody out there. You're just getting your own handcuff. So, depending on who, like if you have Derrick Henry, you get Hilliard. Mm-hmm. As you said, you have Singletary, you get James Cook. You have Dalvin Cook and Madison's available. Go get Madison. So at this point, it's just handcuffs.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the wide receiver position a little bit. Number one, I think it's Treylon Burks.
Yeah, he was number one last week for us, wasn't he?
Yeah. Did he? I think he scored a touchdown this week. Let me just check.
He had a good week. He had a really good week.
Yeah, 17 points, 6 catches, 6 targets, 4 catches, 70 yards. Definitely AJ Brown style.
Yeah, he had a touchdown, but it wasn't his touchdown.
Oh, that's right.
Did you see that play?
I did. I saw the play. It was
Derrick Henry.
Get smoked.
Had a screen like 80 yards and fumbled at the 1 yard line.
I guarantee you know that like you're watching fantasy football and you see one of your guys have a big play and then something weird happens and you're not sure how it's calculated in fantasy points. And you're like, that's got to be a touchdown for Derrick Henry, right? And then it's a touchdown for Treylon Burks and he only got 6 fantasy points from the rushing yards. You're like,
he still would have had double-digit fantasy points though, even if you take that play out.
But he's been fantastic. I think the schedule is really hard for Treylon, and I don't know if a breakout end of season is going to like continue. Like I think I could see him being a mid-range wide receiver 2 or low-end wide receiver 2 rest of season, and he would be totally fine in that position. It's probably safer to say he's like going to be around 25 to 30.
Yeah,
if he continues to perform like this, but it does show good signs going into next year. If things stay the same for Tennessee and Tannehill's the quarterback and things are going in that direction, Treylon Burks could have a second-year breakout similar to A.J. Brown's back in the day. So I like that for Treylon Burks, but I just want to continue to, he needs to stack some good weeks together, and if he keeps doing that, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think Burks is definitely the best guy on this list as well. We talked about him last week. So he's put up 2 back-to-back pretty good weeks. The schedule is hard, so that is concerning, but he's the number 1 receiver on the team. So it's kind of rare in week 13 to go pick up the number 1 receiver on an NFL team. So if he's available, he is a good pickup, but I don't know if he's like somebody that you just plug and play and start.
Right. Talk about Peoples-Jones.
Bro, he's been good. This week he sucked. But one of the reasons that I liked Peoples-Jones was because Deshaun Watson coming back, and then if Watson ends up playing well, you're getting a wide receiver 2 on an elite offense if Watson plays well. So it's not like somebody that you're investing a lot in, but he's a small chip that could end up becoming someone really good. This week he did suck, but before this week, he had 5 straight games with at least 70 receiving yards. He was one of the only players in the NFL to do that for 5 straight weeks. He was, I think, a top 20 receiver during that stretch as well in fantasy. So he was having a really good stretch. This week, again, he sucked. But with Deshaun Watson coming back, the hope is Watson comes in and lights the lamp. And if that happens, great. If not, then you probably just drop him.
Agreed. I do like Paris Campbell. Don't know what he did pre-recorded show on Monday Night Football, so keep an eye on that. But he should be rostered.
I have a kind of a sleeper. I'll just quickly say Jameson Williams again because we've been talking about him since like week 4.
Agreed.
This reminds me of like Kenny Golladay when he got hurt and then people dropped him and then he never played another game, but he was always on our list.
Oh yeah, yep.
This is kind of what it reminds me of. Like,
honestly,
he's been on our list every week.
The more games that Jameson Williams, or the more games the Lions win, the more of a chance that Jameson Williams plays.
Yes. Ian Rappaport before Thanksgiving said he wasn't going to play Thursday against the Bills, but he could make his debut in Week 13. And so he could
play
this week.
They almost won, right? Or they won?
They almost won.
So yeah, let's stick it in there.
The guy I wanted to say or ask you about was actually Elijah Moore. And that's because if Mike White is a starter and they start to play Elijah Moore a little bit more, no pun intended, is he going to be worth a pickup? Because he has sucked this year, but one of the reasons he sucked is because he hasn't played.
I would say yes. The problem is Sunday he played 35% of the snaps, caught 2 passes, and had one touchdown for 64 yards. So
but if he gets that snap percentage back up to like what it was in the beginning of the season, and he has Mike White as the quarterback,
I guess you could
you know what I'm saying?
You could pick him up in anticipation for
he
a snap percentage.
The snap percentage back though.
But he's acted like a jerkwad to the Jets, and I don't know if Salah is going to be okay with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I you know what? Yeah, I would say he's a good pickup in terms of like if you want to, if you have a roster spot and you are anticipating, maybe an increase in snap percentage from Elijah Moore. If that's what you're like looking at, there could be some good situations there, but I just don't know. I don't even know what the Jets are doing at quarterback rest of the season. So, obviously at this point you got to stick with Mike White, but if Mike White starts blowing chunks and throwing picks left and right, and Zach looks like a better option, then they will go back to him, which would be bad things for Elijah Moore, I think. But anyway,
right.
And he's got a good schedule: Minnesota, Buffalo, Detroit, Jacksonville, all the way up until the week 17. You're convincing me, Rick.
I just throwing it out
there.
Really
say I didn't really say anything.
I wouldn't put any waiver budget on him.
This is me just working through it.
I wouldn't put any waiver budget on him, but. If he's out there, you got a roster spot. Why not?
Yeah. I was also going to say Zay Jones, 28% owned.
Yeah, he should be rostered.
27. He should be rostered. 27 fantasy points this week. He's the slot receiver for Jacksonville. Not into that.
No,
not at all. Okay. I don't even think he's going to play this year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he might not.
He's using this for the Instagram followers.
Probably.
The money bags. All right, let's talk about some tight ends real quick. Foster Moreau is inconsistent at best, but he is the tight end 1 for Las Vegas. I think if you want him desperately, he's a good ad. Dolchich had a bad week. Evan Ingram hasn't been good lately. And Jawan Johnson, who has been a guy who's been performing well on a week-to-week basis, he sucked this week. Guy I would keep an eye on. And this is a speculative ad. Don't play him this week. Bad matchup. Hunter Henry. New England finally got their heads out of their katuskers and started playing Hunter Henry this week. And he had 15 points and he was shanked out of a touchdown, a second one. And he was involved. This wasn't like a, 2 touchdown catch day on 2 catches. Yep. He was involved in the game, in the offensive passing attack, involved in the game. Their offense looked significantly better. I would be shocked if New England does not try to get Hunter Henry involved more in their offensive attack. And I want to see, like, if Henry has pick him up this week. If Henry has a really good game against New England, you could be talking about a top 10 tight end down the stretch for the rest of the season. Against Buffalo. Who did I say?
You said against New England.
Oh, my God, bro. My brain. If he has a really good
people know what you mean.
If he has a really good game against Buffalo, I think he's a top 10 tight end down the stretch and could do some really good things. So, I need to see another game of it before I determine, because the Patriots right now are just a roller coaster of horribleness. I don't know if they're going to be good offensively next week against Buffalo, and if they show signs of that, and Hunter Henry's good, then I think it's time to saddle back on to Hunter Henry and call him a top 10 tight end.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. He's somebody who we expected a little bit more from. I didn't really. I wasn't in on Henry, but he's still been even worse than I thought he'd be.
Yeah.
But it's not really his fault. They just haven't really been using him. But feels like they should start using him more. He obviously produced really well against the Vikings. And he has some easy games Arizona, Vegas. So if you need it, even Cincinnati's not too bad. So you need a tight end to plug in late in the season. Maybe you got some injuries. He could be a guy that you could look at. Yeah. Man, after that though, like, is there anybody else? Maybe Foster Moreau?
No.
You got Darren Waller?
Yeah, I mentioned Foster Moreau from the jump. He's not a bad one, but no one else.
What did Tyler Conklin do this week? Did he do anything?
No. Well, probably, now that I said that. But
he had 8 points. Oh, maybe him, but he's down on the list of guys I'd want.
Tight ends are mid.
Tight ends are very mid.
So there you go. Waiver wire rankings recap from week 13 to 12. Week 12. Jumping ahead already. We got a lot of week 13 content to get to you this week. Be sure to check out tomorrow. We're going to talk about Thursday Night Football, Bills, Patriots. See you later, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.